Wow, it's the first time I heard that intro. It's so country.
Hey, we're in the South, so
Welcome back. Welcome to the first Resilient Events podcast live version. So episode 27, number one for live. Who do we have today on the show, Marissa?
we have a friend and someone who I've met here locally in Tennessee, but he is in another part of Tennessee today. And his name is John Doliana. He's the co-founder of Grace Concierge Medicine, which we'll learn. Hey, John.
Hey
there.
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of guess from the title Beyond the Clinic, the rise of event concierge medicine, what we're going to talk about. But let's let you introduce yourself and tell us about Grace Concierge Medicine.
Okay, awesome. So my name's John Doliana. I own Grace Concierge Medicine, and we are a concierge health travel practice. We do several different things, but primarily if you're an artist, a speaker, you're on the road, we would travel with you and take care of you, your management, and your team that's on the road with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like everything else, right? It's the concierge part that I love because it sounds to me that it's more, I mean, I know a little bit more about what you do, but tell the other people. It's a level up from what you normally would get in like a big venue or any type of building.
Sure.
You're giving like hands-on, like.
So, right. So say you're an artist and you're coming to Nashville, which is where we're at. And Bridgestone is the big arena there. You know, they have contracts with local hospital to take care of everybody that's there. Now, when you get there and you're doing your load in, your load out, nothing against the people that are there, but like that's their 700th show, you know, so are they really going to be attentive to the things that you need or the accidents that happen on stage while you're doing load in and load out? And so the unfortunate answer is no, they're not. And so by having us on tour or on the road with you, then we are able to provide that medical coverage. And so say somebody does get hurt during loadout, right? That's the fastest time for the show. Somebody gets hurt during loadout. Now they've got to go to an urgent care. They've got to get seen. Then they've got to get a hotel. Then they've got to catch up with the tour. And you're just out all these extra expenses. Well, by having us on the road with you, then we are able to actually take care of that on the spot. And so because we can take care of it on the spot, you're not out all the extra cost for losing that person. You know, in 15 to 20 minutes, we can have them back on the stage.
So you're kind of like a sports team medic, but for concert tours or other.
Right.
Teams. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. When you have $1 million players on the line, you can't have them catching up a couple days behind the crowd, right?
Right. Especially, you know, in these football schedules, these guys have got to turn and burn. And so that's what we're bringing to medicine.
Awesome. I'm wondering, what is it like? I think, do you work with any like kind of older rock stars who like they used to travel with a guru and now they travel with a medic?
So legacy acts, that's what they're called. So we don't have any contracts with any legacy acts at the moment, but we do have multiple different levels. So if you're a legacy act and you're wanting to go on the road and you do want a specific type of doctor to go, we can find that kind of, just for argument's sake, a cardiologist. We would be able to find a cardiologist that would go on the road with you, and that would be your personal doctor the entire time you're out. We've worked with some groups that want like an ER doctor, and then they just want like a medic. And so then they have a doctor and a medic that goes out with them. Some of your smaller groups, just like, hey, we'll just take 2 medics. And then even when we have 2 medics, we still have our on-call providers here in Nashville. And so if we need to file a prescription, we need to do anything, we just do a telehealth visit with them, and then they take care of it for us.
Cool. That sounds much more efficient. Go ahead, Marissa.
I'm thinking of, you know, you talked about alleviating costs for like an artist or like a management team. I'm thinking of all the scenarios where someone may have had some health issues, but still needs to have that monitoring of like themselves, you know, the person that's on call, because this is their livelihood. Like if you're a speaker or you travel around to different places, not just like performing, but you need to make sure that you have someone trusted with you. I feel like this is another scenario where you build that relationship, and it's like, you're their person that's going to make them feel comfortable to be out on the road, versus this person that made their livelihood speaking and traveling around at events, and they no longer can do that because they're worried about getting the right health care, like making sure that they're healthy and showing up.
And even beyond that, what we can do is say you're an artist or a speaker and going on the road, like we have ENT doctors that would be able to go out. And so they could do the scopes, they can do all the treatments, they can take care of all of your vocal problems and things like that while you're on the road. And then even just having a medic on set, the advantage to that is that as a medic on the road, I have no ties to management. I have no ties to the crew. And so even from if the artist just needs somebody to just kind of vent to, that's not tied to anything, we can handle that. And that's all covered under patient privacy.
That's cool. Okay. So backing up a little bit, you obviously know what you're talking about. You've dropped a few acronyms that I don't know exactly what they mean, but that's okay.
Ear, nose, and throat, Marissa, come on.
I don't have kids, so I don't know. Okay, anyways, but your goal is, from what I know, is that you want to become the largest employer of veterans.
Yes.
Under the federal, obviously the federal government will always be the top one. But what's your mission about in terms of hiring veterans, and where does that expertise come from?
So right now, all of our doctors, our medics, everybody except a nurse, 2 nurses, all are veterans. So, and the reason that we lean on medics is because when they're out on the battlefield or they're doing things, they're giving these antibiotics, they're taking care of these injuries, they're doing sutures and staples and taking care of people to keep them on the battlefield, which is absolutely amazing. But when they come home as civilians, they're not even qualified to roll somebody over in bed and wipe their butt, unfortunately. So in Tennessee, I can hire them as a medical assistant. And as a medical assistant, they operate at the direction of the physician they work for. And so because I can do that, I can use veteran physicians, veteran combat medics, and we can kind of build that family that they had on the battlefield here at home. And then we can just provide so much better care because they already understand how to work together, how to transition, pass along patients like, hey, all right, you're sick. This is something that I can't handle. I'm now going to transition to a provider. And then, or a provider knows, hey, listen, this is something easy. John can take care of it or whatever. Right. So that's the beautiful thing about bringing on all these guys. And so ultimately we're trying to build this community where veteran corpsmen, Air Force medics, Army medics all have somewhere that they can come. And we're trying to do that leveraging the touring industry. So whether it's music, film production, speakers, whatever. For a long time, the touring industry has kind of been like, oh, well, they have someone at the venue. I don't need my own. But they don't really get the care. And sure, the artist can afford to pay a doctor to come out there. But what about the 100 people that are tagging along, the 200 people that are tagging along? And so by having us on set, you're now offering care to everybody. And since it's already paid for by the show, it's free medical care for the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Sounds like with taking that veterans as your main employees method too, that would reduce a lot of training costs. As if they already have that kind of common communication method, like you're saying, they already have like the same kind of operating playbook. Should be faster, better trained. Like people can kind of jump in and be a pro immediately instead of being the new guy or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you guys know when you're on the road, sometimes that schedule, we'll use a nice word, is hectic.
Yeah.
And so these guys are used to those kinds of schedules, and that doesn't bother them. And so if you're on the road for 3 months, okay, their average deployment was 7 to 12 months. So that's, they're already well equipped for all of these things.
Got it.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it sounds.
Shout out to Amanda, your wife. She's watching. Left a comment.
Hey, love.
Just got a little more nervous. All right, so let's get into story time. We want to talk a little bit about the types of events or tours that you've done. So we talked a little bit about before this, a bit about this beforehand. What was the biggest disaster you had to respond to, or the biggest hiccup in one of the events that you've been at, without naming names, if you
So
have
I was on the road with a band. Where were we? I think we were in Germany, and it was during loadout, and the automation engineer was leaving the back of the stage while the LED panels were coming down. But the guy that was controlling the LED panels didn't see him, and he was looking down so he didn't step on any of the cables, and the LED panels split his head open. And so we were able to get him backstage, get him in the production office, get him cleaned up, drop some staples in it, get him back on the stage. And he was only out about 20 minutes. And then the show just kept rolling.
Show must go on.
Yeah.
Literally. Wow. Yeah. So if that was a scenario where there wasn't someone like you on site, like how long would that have taken? Do you know of like the time difference that you're saving? Or, I mean,
Sure.
could
And
you
so it's vastly different in the United States versus overseas, but we'll use the United States so that anybody listening can kind of have a general idea of what that would look like. Mm-hmm. So you're hurt, somebody's with them, whatever, you're going to take them. Urgent cares are closed because it's 2:00 in the morning. So you're going to take them to an ER. How long are they going to sit in an ER? Because they're not a priority. Anywhere between an hour and 3 hours, depending on how busy they are. Then they've got to get seen. Then they've got to be discharged. And by that time, the buses are gone. Everybody's gone. And so now you have the cost of that ER visit, which the venue may or may not pick up. Then you have the hotel room and then the plane ticket or bus ticket to catch that person up. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same overseas, but the time lag, depending on where you are, is significantly greater just because of now we have language barriers.
Right. That makes me think, like, when you are hired, do you reduce the insurance cost for the event for the organizer? Like, it sounds like you can get people back on the road faster and deliver faster care. Than like insurance costs for those events should be lower, which I'd imagine would be pretty high.
So eventually, yes. Right now, no, just because we're growing event concierge medicine. And as it grows and becomes a thing and insurance companies become aware of it, then yes, it will change. Just like security, right? Mm-hmm. Like at some point, artists were touring with only artist security. Now they tour with tour security that like advances locations, talks to the embassies, has evacuation plans, all of that. Mm-hmm. And so it's just going to take time to be able to do that. And then as we climb this mountain and start bringing more and more people with us, then yes, ultimately it should. I mean, because if you take a driver's course, you get a discount on your driver's insurance.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know why this would basically be the same.
Interesting. I could even see like long term, it could be even like mandated almost, or like I can see an insurance provider not wanting to provide insurance without an on-site medic for an event of a certain size, right? Like,
yeah. So I mean, selfishly, I want that to be my company. Selected, but ultimately, at the end of the day, like I truly just want to help people, right? And so you think about the amount of tours, speaking engagements, book tours, everything that goes out. And then the people that are associated with that aren't actually directly getting medical care. I mean, so we're talking hundreds of thousands of people a year that don't have direct access to medical care because they're supporting somebody who's making millions of dollars and always has access to medical care. And so really it's just changing the goal, and that's our motto, is together we can change an industry. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Cool. I think we haven't asked this question yet, though. What was the biggest event that you worked with overall?
So the biggest event people-wise was going to be Rock and Ring in Nuremberg, Germany. There was like 110,000 people there. And so being out there on stage with everyone before the artist came out and doing final checks and everything like that, seeing 100,000 people standing in front of you, that is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Wow. So for that, you were hired by the artist or the event organizer?
So for that, the production team had hired us for the artist, management, production, and then crew as well.
Got it. Okay.
And so that was part of an onboarding tour. That was just the biggest.
You didn't answer the most important question. Did you get a selfie with the 100,000 people behind you?
Not a selfie. I may or may not have snapped some pictures from backstage.
We'll delete that. We'll scrub
Next
that
time.
out.
Next time.
It's totally fine. I mean, it's over. It's past. I don't think there's a statute of limitations on taking pictures.
Yeah.
Big deal.
So, we mentioned different styles of events when it comes to like, what if you are working with an artist that has artist or speaker, whoever talent that has small speaking engagements, like that is something you guys do? I mean, or is it only 100,000, stadium shows that you work with?
So in our position and where we are at, we are able to, just depends on what you want, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a solo person and you've got 50, you're going to every major city on a book tour and you just want, a doctor to come with you. I mean, that's one cost. If you just want a medic to come with you, that's another. If you want to sign up with us as a family health practice, and then we just give you telehealth visits along the way because you are only one person, then we can accommodate that. And so what we truly try and do is we sit down with the artist or artist management and look at exactly what they need. We're not trying to gouge anybody. We're not trying to oversell medical services. If you don't need 3 doctors, then, why would I do that? Like, but if you're, I don't know, Taylor Swift and you're filling out 100,000 arenas and you got 250 people plus 60 semi trucks coming with you, you may need 3-4 doctors, right? Like that may actually be a thing. And so it's just different for every person. And we try and just accommodate that.
Mm-hmm. And so how big is the team that you have currently, or is it just like on an as needed basis? You have you bring in other people?
Sure. So everybody on the team is basically as needed. There's 4 or 5 of us that like basically work this free of paychecks. That's Garrison Hughes, one of the co-owners. Amanda, my wife, she's our chief nursing officer. Nathan Kersey is a PA. He's our medical director. Alex, she's a FNP. And so we just kind of tag team these things. So an artist would sit down, they would tell me, hey, listen, this is what we need. And so then I would sit down with our providers and be like, hey, so based off their needs, what do you think, what levels of care do you think we should put together for them? And then we can put together, quote unquote, 2 or 3 packages that they could choose from.
I'm interested. What is your normal approach right now? Do you just like look at Billboard Top 50 and start smiling and dialing? Like, what's how do you normally get to these customers?
So it's all just right now. It's all just word of mouth.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, the music industry is pretty tight-lipped about all their phone numbers.
I imagine.
So it's just been word of mouth. Genuinely doing quality work. Like we're out here to help people, to offer veterans jobs, and we're out here trying to do the best we can medically for these individuals. And so it's going to be slow, for a while until it does start to pick up. But I never want to compromise our reputation as, we're just some rock docs that are coming here and whatever. Like, no, thank you. Like I would rather take the long way.
Has anybody taken that URL already? Is that the named company, RockDocs?
I know, right?
Like that is. Check. I want that.
I don't know. Let's see on GoDaddy real quick.
Exactly.
Rebrand right now.
Yeah. Interesting though, but no, I can see like like an artist like Taylor Swift does make a big deal about putting a lot of taking care of her crew, right? So I
Mhm,
can see just
mhm.
having it's not really a hard sell that you're going after, right?
Right.
Right. Um,
Rock Dash Docs is available. So
there you go. She's already on it. Get it. Now 30 minutes from now, it's going to be a $10,000 domain,
right?
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're touching upon how you're building. I think, just knowing being in this general area, it is, and almost all business is relationship based. So it's just about shaking more hands and kissing babies. What are some, like, if you had to pick who you want to work with this year or contract this year for next year, who's on your bucket list or wish list?
Oof, my bucket list of artists. It's kind of a loaded question because I don't think Randy Travis is going out anymore, but he is actually that would be that would be it for me.
Yeah.
I'm really open to anybody. I don't like
Yeah.
if Taylor Swift called me and was like, "Hey, we want to make this work." Hey, cool, let's do it. If
Mhm.
we're working with an artist, Carly Taft, if she were to start going on the roads and she was like, "Hey, we're only playing in bars, but we'd love to have you with us," like that
Yeah.
would be great.
I feel like
Mhm.
there'd be more injuries in bars.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not an artist, but
Yeah, that brings up a conversation like you're not there to provide care for the event attendees or people in the crowd, but it's almost like a calming thing for anyone involved, an organizer. Okay, we have more than just our standard, ambulance EMS service. We have this other not that you would be handling an attendee fainting, but it gives more peace of mind in general. The
sure.
more
And
expert.
I
Go ahead.
for sending out one doctor, two medics, whatever, you don't have the personnel to actually handle
Right.
the venue itself.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, if the show's going on and there's an emergency that happens, absolutely, we will take care of that and help stop the emergency, whatever that is, and get
Mhm.
them to venue medical, and then return to our jobs with the artist and production teams. And we have done that several times with individuals that were injured right there at the front gate.
Mhm. Cool. Hey, look,
Man,
John, you just got a lead from this woman.
there we go. Awesome.
You'll have to connect with her. They
Hey,
want to
yeah.
work with you. So that's
Um,
good.
then Amanda's saying focus on Justin Timberlake for your number one.
Yes.
She may not have a crush or anything like that.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Amanda. Yeah. I'll have to tag along somehow with y'all if you guys go on tour with Justin.
There you go.
Yeah,
I have to document it, right? For your
for sure, we would have to. We would
your
have
podcast. Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So John, do you have one more thing?
Yeah, just other things that like from what you've seen, like we loved having you on the show just to hear about like things that we can do that like we wouldn't think about to prepare for like the worst, right? Anything else that you know of that's out there like that people can do to prepare for like the unexpected at events?
So just in general, like even if you're not willing to eat the cost to take somebody out, at least put together a medical bag, a CPR mask, have your crew trained in CPR, basic first aid, how to put on a tourniquet, how to put on a pressure dressing. Just because somebody's bleeding and injured doesn't necessarily mean that they have to go to the hospital and, lose an arm. But there's, if you take a basic first aid class and you know how to help that, I think it's irresponsible for these management companies to not make that mandatory training for these guys. I mean, the riggers, for instance, that hang the lights, they're 30 to 90 meters in the air. I mean, they're hundreds of feet up there. And if they fall, who's going to take care of them? Like, and if you're not going to have medical, that's totally fine. But you should at least at a minimum have your team trained in some kind of emergency medicine and at least have those supplies there for them to be able to use.
That's a good message for organizers and planners, because I think that's like, I mean, it's the last thing that I think about the training, right? If there's an emergency, automatic, okay, call 911. But those minimal things that you can do to prep your staff, like CPR, which I'm like, oh, I need to do CPR. You can work with, and you guys offer those, right? And you sell the equipment, and you sell equipment on your website and stuff.
We do. So we have a distributor agreement with North American Rescue, and they're one of the largest trauma suppliers in the world. And so in our partnership with them, you would just say, hey, we're going on the road. This is what we're doing. And so we already have pre-done kits. And so we would say, hey, here's a kit for you. And if you liked it, or if you didn't like it and you're like, well, I don't necessarily need needle decompression, but we do want more bandages. So then we would just work with North American Rescue to build your own custom kit and then send those out. And then because we built that for you, if you used it, you would just call us, and then we would just get it direct shipped to you as a replacement. And then as far as like medical training goes, we do offer that as well. And so we can handle, I think, up to 50 in our lowest level class.
Awesome.
Cool.
Oh, so you do that training as well. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Our lowest level is Stop the Bleed. It's a 4-hour class, and it just goes over like active shooter response, medical response, emergency bleeding. Dude fell, broke his leg, how we put on a tourniquet until EMS gets here. It's just simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That sounds like a good way to start.
Cool. Well, you can visit graceconciergemedicine.com, or soon to be rock-dogs.com. Maybe we'll see. And John, you can also find John on LinkedIn if you want to find more info. And we thank you for being here to talk about concierge medicine today, John.
Thank you for having me. You guys were amazing.
John. It's fun.
Thank you.
And if anybody knows Taylor Swift or Justin Timberlake, send John an intro, please.
Yes, for sure. Cool. All right, John, that's it for our show today. We have a less than 30-minute show, which is always what we like to do. And
we can find show notes at rizpod.live, right?
Oh.
As well as connections to graceconciergemedicine.com. If you can't spell that, we've got the link for you, and it's at rizpod.live.
Wow, that's twice. You win today. Cool. All right. Well, that's it for us, and we'll be back soon. We have some more guests in the queue, but we haven't set dates. So just be sure to follow us on Spotify, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching Resilient Events, where co-hosts Marissa and John provide overwhelmed entrepreneurs with a comprehensive strategy for using podcasts, live streams, and events to establish expertise in any industry. With real-life examples and events expertise, they'll help you finish planning and start doing. Visit rizpod.live for show extras and freebies.